Hey there, my name's Curtis Lucas, and you're watching Empire Building. So, it's been another long break, another long while since I've done another video. And frankly, I haven't put out anywhere near as much content throughout this bear market. And so in this video, I want to talk a little bit about why. Obviously, like anybody else in this space, I lost a lot of money. I mean, like a lot of money. In preparing to come back for this video, I did a little bit of searching back, a little bit of reflecting on some older videos that I had done. And when it really hit home how far I had come, how far I had fallen from, and everything I went through over the last year, which contributed to my inability to really focus well enough and give myself enough time to record videos throughout this experience. And to be honest, while I know that some people really enjoyed having my perspective, but for me, that perspective was short in supply.
I want your help to get my mind right.
I'm not sure if I can help you get your mind right. Because right now, mine's not right.
Now, I did do my best, but like I said, it wasn't just the markets that hit me this last year. It was also poor decisions on my part, and in my other business, things weren't going so well. Early last year, things were looking not too bad. We had just signed on a major contract to build a major multifamily development, but that was quickly cut short when our contract was terminated. And I learned that lesson not only in the market, how quickly things can change. And it wasn't long before treading water became more than just a challenge. Now, throughout that time, I was still involved and I was doing my best to navigate this sector. Those of you who have been direct supporters of me through Patreon and active members of my Discord, your support means more than you will ever know. And that community over there in the Empire Building Discord, I think I speak for everyone when I say that without it, I'm not sure how I would have been able to pull through. You guys mean the world to me, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. So if that sounds like the kind of community you would like to be a part of, then click the link down in the description and head over to Patreon, sign up, become a supporter of the channel, and you'll gain access to the Empire Building Discord. I also upload exclusive content to Patreon from time to time, including an exclusive interview I got with the entire management team over at TerraWolf. That interview was from last week. I'm going to be uploading it onto YouTube, sort of following the upload on this video. Immediately afterwards, I'll begin working on editing that and releasing it to YouTube as well. But I am serious about getting back into this, getting back into the swing of things, not just because it appears as though we might be in the start of another bull run. That's still up for question. But really, it's because I finally feel like I've figured a thing or two out, and now I feel like I have something to share, something constructive, something that you all can use. And I also have good news to share, because elsewhere in the empire, things are finally starting to go my way. I've met a lot of successful people in my life, and I've worked with a lot of successful people. And one thing they have all told me is that none of them have made it to where they are without first going through some sort of experience where they lose a lot of money. So I guess you could say box checked. I'm not sure why that seems to be the standard, but I think it has something to do with, especially if it happens fast, it doesn't feel real. And you become a little more detached from what that money means, especially if it did come quickly as it did for me. I'd never seen that much money before. I'd never experienced it. And unfortunately for me, I didn't even really get to do much with it because I didn't sell very much and I couldn't go anywhere or do anything. It was the middle of the pandemic and couldn't travel, couldn't do much of anything other than stay home and eat well. But when things started to take its turn for the worst, I got reminded of how difficult it can be to earn even a living. So it's important to appreciate these things and not take unnecessary risks. So with that in mind, I've developed a new strategy. And thank God, for me, there was one saving grace, one thing that remained. And for me, that was my Ethereum validator. But before I get into that, as the title suggests, I'm coming clean here. I'm going to let you know exactly the mistakes that I've made. Now, I am not proud of this, but I also feel like I'm not alone. And it's no secret on this channel that I was introduced to the options, the world of options, and I got schooled. And somewhere along the way, I lost my bearings.
But everything came off the rails with one hand. And that's how it happens. That's how you go full tilt.
Anyone that's experienced that, whether it be gambling of any sort, knows exactly what I'm talking about. And it is a very difficult thing to break out of. And part of the reason for me coming clean like this is to make sure I keep myself accountable. But there's something else that experience taught me. Once I had enough time to reflect on what it is that made me make those decisions in the first place, and who benefited from my misfortune. And this, for me, is where the light bulb went off. Throughout this entire bear market, you've heard things like institutions are de-risking. It's risk off, so they're selling out of their high-risk positions. But if you look at the institutional ownership on most of these Bitcoin mining stocks over the last year and a half or so, institutional ownership is up, not down. So they've been buying more, not selling. Why? And if that's true, why is the price so much lower? I struggled with this question, but then I started thinking about these institutions and what is it that motivates them? What are their incentives? And one thing that this last year has taught me about institutions is the thing they love the most, more than gains, is yield. They are hungry for yield. They always have been. And if you own a large amount of shares in these companies, you can generate an enormous amount of yield every single month by selling covered calls. So in other words, where I went through that experience, basically acting as the junkie, on the other side of that transaction was the dealer. So it occurred to me that if instead you became the dealer, then your incentives will become aligned with those market makers, those large institutional players who all want now the same thing that you want. This was the epiphany that dawned on me. Now, there is a lot more for me to dig into this, and I am not going to be able to cover it all in this video, but this and many other things like it is what I'm going to be focusing on, and I'm going to try and portray that and even offer tutorials. Now, obviously, those tutorials I plan on releasing inside my Patreon membership, so if you want access to that, I'm afraid, yes, you're going to have to contribute to the channel. These strategies are things I have been discussing at length in the Discord over the last few months. And I'm telling you, once this dawned on me, it was like seeing the Matrix for the first time. I finally understood what the incentives were and what the game theory was behind a lot of these price moves. And I recognize that this is not going to be a perfect strategy, but it's certainly a heck of a lot better than anything else I had attempted thus far. And I intend to demonstrate that over, well, as long as it takes. And in the meantime, we can get back to talking about what it is we love so much about these opportunities, about these companies, about what they're doing, about the news, what's happening with governments and the markets, I've had a lot of opinions over the last little while, but between everything else that's been going on with me and this new venture that I've been working on, again, nothing to do with Bitcoin mining or anything like that, but in the world of real estate development. I've been working on a deal for over a year, ever since losing that last job, and it is finally coming to fruition. Myself and my partners are going to be the proud owners of a 6-story multifamily building that we will be constructing ourselves. This has been my dream for as long as I've been in construction, and it was my original motivation, and the intent of my gains was to put towards this. So when those gains dried up, it felt like my entire dream was being pulled away. But with a little ingenuity, a little creativity, and a lot of determination, I found another way. And these are the stories that I've been sharing within that community, that small group that has been so supportive over the last year and a half. Many others in that group are empire buildings just like me, just like most of you, and we help one another. So again, if that sounds like it's of any interest to you, then please click on the link down below, try it out for yourself. But aside from all of that, I have one more disclosure to make, and that is, now that the Shanghai upgrade has officially been completed on Ethereum, I exited my validator and sold all the Ethereum I had contained there. And that decision was directly motivated by this new strategy that I had been working on. I'll do a separate video fully explaining that, but again, this is the video where I come clean. I know that this is a move that I had previously said I would never do. But this is about new beginnings for me, and new strategies, and new decisions. And that was a decision that I made for myself. And so far, it's worked out pretty well. But from here on out, there's going to be so much more for us to talk about, and I plan on doing at least one regular video every single week, maybe more depending on time, but I am doing a lot of things at once. So some of these videos might be on the fly, some of them will be here in the garage studio, which has been here the entire time. But yeah, I'm looking forward to what's coming next. And as far as price predictions go, I'm not doing that anymore, because as you'll discover as I lay out this new path of mine, price predictions isn't what it's about. Predicting the next move is not what it's about. Look no further than what happened today. The price moves on Bitcoin were just wild. I don't care how good you are at reading charts or any other strategy, nothing is going to prepare you for those kinds of moves. So what I'm going to be focusing on is how to prepare you and align your mindset with the same mindset that the big players have. That's all for this one. Now let's get back to empire building.